Okay, you guys, I want to talk a little bit today about drawing in some feature lines that will eventually become what is called a break line. Break lines are used to help define the surface, and let's concentrate on kind of the northern end of this property, up in this area, up by McKinley Avenue. All these points here are there to represent a roadside ditch. So what we're going to do is we're going to make 3 break lines today. One of them is going to be for the top of bank on the north side of the ditch. Then the next one will be the center line of the ditch, and the third one will be the top of bank on the south side of the ditch. So the first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to isolate my top of bank north of ditch points. Remember, we made all these point groups. And so what I want to do now is I want to right click on point groups and choose properties. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my top of bank north of ditch to the very top of the list. There it is. And I want my no display point groups. Where is that? Right here. I'm going to just shoot that one to the top of the list too, and then I'm going to switch the order of these. So I want top of bank north of ditch at the very top and no display right underneath. Then I click OK, and the only points that I can see are my top of bank north of ditch. There they are. The problem is that the scale is such that they're hard to read, so I'm going to change this scale to be 1 inch equals 10 feet. Now it's a little easier to see. Zooming in here to the westerly side of this line of points, I'm then going to go to my Create Design palette, and I'm going to choose Feature Line. And I'm going to say Create Feature Line. This is the only thing we really need to change here is we don't actually have to change this, but I'm just going to change it to corridor grading. No, I'm sorry, not corridor grading, corridor ditch, because these points are used to define a ditch. So I'm going to say OK. I'm going to start at this point right here, 1595. I left click on the point, ensuring, of course, that my object snaps are turned on and that my object snap settings are set so that it only recognizes the node object snap. So that's fine. So I've selected that as my starting point, and I have to hit enter here to accept that elevation. And then I'm just going from point to point, hitting enter each time. Of course, I can pan and zoom dynamically while I'm in the command. And I'm going to make a little mistake here on purpose. Let's suppose I made the mistake right now of hitting, I don't know, hitting enter twice or something. And I end up getting, I end that first feature line. There it is. But I didn't intend to end drawing it. I wanted it to go all the way along. It turns out I can join them. So let me just demonstrate that, and then I'll finish up the drawing of the feature line without you having to watch it. So I'm going to go back to feature line, create feature line. This stays the same, and I'm going to start where I stopped before. Now, the same way, hit enter. Okay, so sometimes you do make that mistake of ending before you wanted to. So I'm going to, you see, now I've got 2 feature lines here that I'd like to join. The way you do that is you simply left click on one of them. And notice that my tool palette changed up here. This one up here, second from the right on the top, is join. And if I click on join, I can then select this other feature line, right click, and hit enter, and now they are one. So you see, you can correct that if you make that mistake. I'll finish up drawing these and then I'll pick up where we left off. Okay, so now I've completed that feature line. You can see that I've drawn a line between all those points, and I took the time to join those feature lines that were separate before. Now I want to turn on all my center line of ditch shots. So again, I'm going to go back to my point groups. I'm going to right click on point groups and I'm going to choose properties. Now I want to put, all I really have to do is find my center line of ditch, right there, point group, push it all the way to the top of the list. And you can see now center line of ditch and top of bank, north of slope, north of ditch, are the only two point groups above no display. So I'm going to hit OK. And now I've got my center line of ditch shots as well. So I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to draw another feature line passing through all these center line of ditch shots. Maybe I'll change this for a moment down to 1 inch equals 1 foot. That makes it even a little smaller than before, and I'm going to go feature line, create feature line. Everything stays the same, and I'm just starting with this point now. And so on, just like before. And one thing you should notice is that those two lines do not cross. Those feature lines do not cross at any point. That's important. We've got one more to do, and that's going to be the one that represents the top of bank south of the ditch. So same thing, right click on point groups, choose properties. Now I'm looking for my top of bank south of ditch. There it is. I'm just going to shoot it to the top, say OK, and those points now appear. So exactly the same thing. I won't bother you with watching that, but go ahead and create a feature line that passes through all those points. Just like this, snapping to that point. And like I said, you can dynamically pan and zoom while you're doing this. So that's the idea. Go ahead and complete that part of it, and we'll pick up from there. Thank you.